In one of my previous parishes, we had an older priest, and when we would do penance services for the religious ed group or for the parish, a couple of times people came to me and they said, you know, Father, I went to Father Bachiglu. All right, that's not his name. But I went to confession to Father so-and-so, and he just kept telling me, oh, that's not a sin. Don't worry about that. And every time someone came to me and said that, they said, I don't think that Father either understood my sin or he didn't take it seriously. And I was very surprised at that. I was born in the 50s. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. And you know, a really good, compassionate priest, which, oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But we can see where that has led us. People think that nothing is a sin. And in our first reading here, Daniel, the prophet, he says, we have sinned, we've been wicked, we've done evil, we have rebelled and departed from your commandments and laws. I try to strike a balance between two people, right? Father Benedict Rochelle, who is never been accused of being a liberal. He had his own program on EWTN, so he was solid as a rock. But when we were in seminary, he said to us, I've been ordained for 25 years, and in those 25 years, I may, and I repeat, may have heard half a dozen truly mortal sins. Most people don't try hard enough. Wow, that's not many, because this guy heard lots of confessions. 25 years later, I was stationed at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and he was there for a mass. And I said to him, all right, it's been 25 more years. Do you still believe that? And he said, even more so. 50 years a priest, and I really haven't heard that many mortal sins. He said, most people don't try hard enough. So that's the one side. On the other side, Teresa of Avila, she's got a bit of a, Father Benedict is very good and very holy. St. Teresa of Avila she's a saint and she's a doctor of the church. But she says what held back her growth in holiness was that the spiritual directors and the confessors that came to her convent, they told her that her venial sins, those weren't really sins at all. And her mortal sins were only venial sins. And she said, I can't really blame it on them, because that's kind of what I wanted to hear. But she says it was an impediment to her growing in holiness. And so when Daniel speaks to the Lord, you keep your merciful covenant toward those who love you and observe your commandments. Then he goes and he talks about how they haven't done it. So maybe during Lent, this would be a good time to maybe lean a little bit more towards St. Teresa of Avila. What in my life is sinful? What is it that I don't want to look at? I prefer to say, oh, well, that's not a sin, or that's only a venial sin. Because she said, if you choose to do a venial sin, if you know something's wrong and you know that God is with you because he's always with us, and you choose to do it anyway, it doesn't make a venial sin mortal, but it really does stop our growth in our relationship with God. We cannot say, God, please give me the grace, do this for me. And then, even though it might be a venial sin, to say, oh, and I still choose this. I choose this little sin over God. So, just a suggestion, but during Lent, maybe spend some time and ask the Lord, what are those things that I have grown accustomed to? That may be small sins, but that I could avoid.